did that part of your life get? Were we at death's door, or were we out of our mind? Were we suicidal? How bad did they get for Eminem?
Well, I was at death's door. I mean, I did an interview recently with Vibe where I kind of just came out and told everybody like exactly what happened. But basically, I try to make a long story short and give you the quick version of it. But basically, when I went into rehab in 2005, it was pretty bad. Like I was taking, Valium and Ambien to sleep, and I was taking a lot of it to the point where it was scaring people around me. And taking Vicodin also, but my main drug of choice was Valium. But it got to the point where everybody around me wanted me to get clean, and it was like everyone was ready for me to, and I wasn't ready to. You know what I mean? So when I went to rehab, I kind of went in there with the attitude like, I'm just going to appease everybody for right now. And when I got out, within a week, I started taking Vicodin again and then just relapsed all over again. And then, the thing with Proof happened. And when that happened, man, that was an excuse, basically in my head for me to just say, screw it. I'm just going to, whatever. And I started taking a lot more than, my problem was already bad. And then it just elevated to a whole new, I don't know, my tolerance with pills just shot so high. Like I did I remember looking back, recently I looked back on a BET performance that I did with Cassius and Banks and 50, I think in 2006. And I was on BET. I did two things this day. I did MTV earlier in the day, and I did BET later on that day or whatever. And I remember the MTV thing, and I remember going to MTV and doing the performance and everything. But the crazy thing is, like, when I went to BET, I have no recollection of it. Wow. Because I think that I probably took an Ambien before I went on. And there's an interview. I think people were making comments about it back then, but I don't pay attention to the internet and things like that. But people were talking about it, and it was like every question they would ask me, because I sat down on the couch and did an interview. I did a performance, like the whole thing. The whole thing, I just don't remember doing. I have no recollection of doing it. They were asking me simple questions like, "Yo, Em, so how come we could see so little of you?" And I'm just sitting there like staring at the ground, and that's the crazy in the world, because I remember going home and watching it on TV, but I have no recollection of actually doing it. And they say like Ambien has like a kind of mind eraser or whatever in it, but I don't remember it. Hey, Em, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's the only thing that I've ever done that I literally have no recollection of, like publicly or anything like that.
Was that like? Is there a part in Eminem's, like, as far as us knowing Eminem, is there a part of your life that felt like this was like one of your darkest moments? Was it after Proof passed on, after the Proof situation, and then it got real bad? Was that one of the darkest that we didn't get bear witness to?
Yeah, probably, because right after that, after the BET performance, all the people in my circle wanted to just pull me away from the public eye, because I was in really bad shape. I was starting to like talk and not make sense at all when I spoke, and it just, it was getting bad. And it got to the point where, just to finish up the story, I guess, it got to the point where I started like taking so much of it. I wasn't like, I was buying it. I wasn't getting it anymore for recreation. It wasn't, it wasn't fun. I needed it to just not be sick. Like to not feel sick. You know what I mean?
I was reading where you were saying that you could kind of turn it off and turn it on also, where it was like when you were on tour, you could turn it on, and then once it was time to come home and be with the family, it was like you could you could hit that switch and turn it off. And then it just got to the point you couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Relapsing stories right now, Eminem and Big Boy's Neighborhood. Hey, man, I'm looking at the album of Relapse, and this is why I tell people, man, you gotta, like, there's a difference between, I understand everybody iTunes, everybody like downloading, but I like picking up the album and actually holding it and looking at credits and looking at who produced it and looking at samples. And if you pick up when you pick up Eminem's album in stores right now, ladies and gentlemen, you get the lyrics in the album.
I thought that was dope.
And the lyrics in the album is unbelievable. But when you flip over to the back, there's a message for proof. And right here it goes into saying that, you know, that in a sense that he wanted to write a song for proof. And Eminem, you were saying that you couldn't write that one record.
Yeah. I actually wrote like 4 or 5 songs for proof. And I couldn't figure out like which one I wanted to use, which one was like, I made so many different versions. I made a couple of different versions of the same song, and then I'd go and revise it, and then I'd scrap it and make a whole new song. And it just, nothing was good enough. You know, it was just like nothing was doing him justice. And it was, you know, I had one, I ended up with one that I liked the best out of the whole batch. And when I listened to it, it made me so depressed. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was really painful for me to listen to. So I ended up just kind of putting it to the side. You know, I still have the song, but I just don't feel like it does him justice. There's so many things that I could say about Proof and just go on for days about, you know, him and what he did for me. You know what I mean? So I just figured, like, let me just dedicate the whole record to him.
I heard that, man. Let me ask you this, man. Did you feel like when we get into the booth and we hear Relapse and we hear, you know, the Slim Shadyism, did you feel like, okay, now Eminem is off of drugs and you already got your year in, correct?
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. Yeah. Did you feel like at some point, like before you knew that there was a milestone of a year or even a day, did you feel like, man, Slim Shady, like Eminem, like this guy has to be on drugs so I can get in that booth and deliver what people are expecting from him?
No, I didn't necessarily feel like that. I mean, there was, you know, there was a point in time where it was like, I felt like I had to be on drugs just to rap, just to get on the mic at all. Like, let alone bring, you know, Shady into it, or if I'm going to rap like Eminem, you know what I mean, make an Eminem record or, you know, a Shady record or whatever. There was, I mean, I didn't think I could do anything without taking drugs. You know what I mean? I mean, that's pretty much how bad it got.
Did you surprise yourself when you started to hear back, like, recording records and like when you got that bug back and Dr. Dre's in the studio, did you kind of surprise yourself like, man, I can do this and I can do this sober?
Yeah, definitely. I think me and Dre had planned a trip to go to Florida to meet in Orlando, and we had several occasions where we got together before that. You know, the couple of years that I was away or whatever, a few years, and literally walked out of the studio with hardly anything, but pretty much nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing that was good enough to even play in our cars to listen to and go, oh, this is dope. So I was kind of nervous about doing it, you know, meeting up with Dre in Orlando. And this was like June or July of last year. So I was a little nervous about doing that. But a couple of weeks before we actually were scheduled to go out there, I kind of started coming out the writer's block, and I started writing things that felt like me again, you know, and it was like, okay, it felt like I had a second wind or something. And we got together, and me and Dre got together in Orlando, and it just kind of clicked from there. And we made like 10 or 11 songs. And once the ball was rolling, he came back to Detroit, and he stayed here for like 7 or 8 months.
Wow. Hey man, did it feel like that first album once again? Like, man, like did it feel like that freshman year?
Oh yeah, it was crazy because me and Dre, like even in the beginning, like the first records we ever made, we'd make those records, you know, we'd work for like a couple of days, you know, and then we wouldn't see each other for like 2 weeks, and then we'd work another day, you know what I mean? So it was kind of just all over the place, and it wasn't, what I mean is like, with these 2 records, me and Dre actually got a chance to sit down, spend a lot of time together, give each other feedback, take a CD at the end of the day, go home with it, come back the next day, talk about it, how we felt about it. You know what I mean? Like each song, give input and just kick ideas back and forth. And, you know, the chemistry, once it came back, I feel like it flourished, like, and went to a place where it's never went before.
Relapse in stores right now, Eminem in Big Boy's neighborhood.
Yo, and that's it. Tell me what you think about Eminem coming back, bouncing back from the brink. That's a flash from the past, Throwback Thursday for you. It's your boy Carcino. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. And I'm out. Be blessed.